Well, here I've got to make yard trusses, and this is one of the books I use here, and it shows here two different methods. The earlier video that I made for the Merrimack, I used chain, and on the New York I'll be using served regular rope, if you will. The two methods, up to 1810, one leads downward to the mast, or to a pin or to a bit on the deck, and this one that I'll be using here, because that's about the timeline right here that I am on. This goes up to a block and goes through a single and a double and goes down to the deck. And on this particular book, it just happens to show on the main page, cover page, exactly how that works. Is the single block is seized to a section of the truss, and it's tied off here, and it goes through a double block that is either tied to an eye bolt here, or is rove through the trestle tree and not tied off exactly, but secured on the top of the trestle tree, on the top of the trestle tree. I'll be using an eye bolt and possibly a hook, but I don't think so. I think I'm gonna put it right to the eye bolt. It's one of the rare times that I do that. And here, if you look really close, now this truss has a bullseye in it here and here. And if you look really close on this one, it seems to be the same here and here. Whereas here's another book that shows the earlier version and on how it goes down to the deck and where it's served off. Now this is another, again, this is Rigging Period Model Ships by Leonard Peterson, and that does show a little bit different. And on these, it does not show that it has an eye bolt, or I'm sorry, a bullseye in here. So since I've got a 2-to-1 here and here to this one, I'm going to go with putting a little an eye bolt, or I'm sorry, a bullseye in there. And I do the yards with these before I put the yards up, because it's much easier. That's one of the other things that I do to the yards before they go on. Now, each yard has a truss of some sort, and each yard's truss is somewhat different. And I'm not sure exactly where it is in this book. Okay, here's one. For instance, this is the top yard, okay? And you can see where it's just seized here. It goes around to another one that's tied off to the yard here. So here, and a piece of rope that this will go down to the yard, down to the deck, and this will get put on each of the top yards for each mast, and so on and so forth. And there are different ones again for the Royal, and the top gallants are also a little different. And I'll get to those now. Well, here I'm going to make the truss for the main yards. And I use Leonard Peterson's book because the illustration is large and it's easy to see how you make it, right? So you're going to make a loop here, and it doesn't show it in here, but I mentioned it earlier in the video. There'll be a bullseye inside here that I'll put that on first, and it'll be just a real short one like this, and put it in here, and you need a length of line on it, okay? Because that goes around the front of the yard and comes back and right here below where you make the seizing here on your yard, this gets seized together, and it runs over and it goes through this eye. And again, like I mentioned earlier in the video, it doesn't go down to the deck in this version. Here it will go up, and at the end of it, a single block will be stropped to the end of this. So what I need to do now is find the length of this rope from here, around there, around here, over to here, through here, and up to where the block needs to be. So put that up here for the time being, out of the way. And I'll just kind of make a guesstimate of where that's going to be. You know, sit here, wrap it around here. It's going to go through the eye right there, this bullseye. It's going to go over to here. It's going to go through the one that's identical to this over on the other side. Go through an eye, and from here it's going to go up to the block, to a single block, which will be right about here. And then between the single block here and the double block on the bottom of the platform, the top, right here, where there's a double block, there'll be running rigging at that point. It will be tanned and not black like this and served. So right about that point is where the single block was we need. And I need enough of this rope that's seized to go around the single block and around it, and then to where it's seized off. So I'll make it a little bit longer than it needs to be. So I know that the section of line that I need is going to be about like this, right? So at this point, I'm going to just make a glue point spot here, and use some accelerant. Right. Now the accelerant that I use, so get at this question quite a bit, and this is the accelerant that I use. It's called Instaset. A different variety of companies make this. I guess this is technically their website, and but this is I get this off of Amazon, or actually lately I've been just getting it at my local hobby shop because it's the same price and I don't have to pay the shipping off Amazon, and I'm too cheap to get the Prime. So that's what that looks like. You get it also in littler bottles like this, and I just buy 2 or 3 of these and buy the larger bottle and refill these as I need them. Well, this is going to be snipped off right here. You know, I've shown this in previous videos, so some of you that follow videos will know. I take a section of brass rod of the appropriate diameter inside, and I like the heavier version rather than thin-walled stuff. And right here I just need to make a little like this, right? Now here, I'm gonna try to put some more light on this thing. I'm going to, like I showed you before, you put super glue on here, around each side here, and then again on the other side. Okay. Right, and there you want to make sure that is that little eye symbol, thimble, dead, I don't know, bullseye, whatever you want to call it, doesn't fill up with super glue, because you'll have to drill it out later, and that's kind of a pain in the butt. So there, that blew it out. Okay, now it's fine. And here we'll put some accelerant in on that, and it'll go into here to the helping hands, and here I make a bunch of seizing strips, pre-make them, a lot of them. I take a ruler like this, put part of it through the hole, pin it down in the back, and then off my spool, I sit and take that length, and I wrap it around here 50 times, okay? If I do that 50 times, that gives me 50 of these 6-inch strips off each side, so I have 100 of them. Now that may seem like a lot, but you're actually gonna use probably 400 or 500 of these little strips of black on your standing rigging seizings. Trust me, you will, especially from the beginning, because you're gonna remember you made all your yard blocks, you strap your blocks on your yards, you'll use a lot of it. So I make 100 at a time. So I got a lot of them that I can use, and it saved myself a lot of time, I think, doing it like this. And where you can find little places to save yourself time by pre-making things, or by putting all of this stuff on the yards beforehand, your model progress is gonna go quite faster. Now, if you just want to sit there and putter around, that's fine. If you want to take years at your model and, you know, take your time, couple hours here and there during the week, rather than 1 or 2 every day, except weekends, that I put in, that's fine. And I just find it more convenient to have these pre-made. And at this point, I've probably shown this before as well. I'll take, and I make a slip knot on the end of here, like this, all right? Take my slip knot, and I'll tie it down up here. Take it down. The first one that goes around is a half hitch. Just like this. And then you make your wraps 5 or 6 times around here like this. And then your last one is also a half hitch. Pull through here, take it down. Go ahead and put a drop of super glue on there. Make sure you do the other side too, because this will come apart on you. And if that happens while you're putting your model together, it's a pain in the ass to get in there and get that fixed. I leave kind of a little bit of super glue on here, because in a lot of times on ships where they make a seizing like this, they'll take tar and they will wrap that seizing really heavily with tar to help protect it from the elements, so that the lashing that they put there doesn't fray away on them. Wrapping it in tar makes it last longer. So that little bulge like that is something that we would probably see on the ship. I'm going to snip it off. It'll go onto your yard. This goes around the back of your yard. Over. Let's see, now, a minute. Yeah, that's right. Okay, and right here, at this point, where it crosses over there, that's going to get seized on. And here I'll put the yard in my helping hand's jaws. And kind of a difficult, it's got to kind of hang there like that while I prepare a little loop on this. like that. And I could take it off if I wanted to, and tie it on, I suppose, like this, like that, right? And where this goes around here, again, make sure you don't get one of your horses pinched while you're doing it. Here for the first one, put it through here. Right, I just got the first one down loose. That allows me to tighten this to where it needs to be. Should probably turn this a little bit so the horse isn't so much in my way. Do it over here like this. Tighten this down. This is kind of an awkward part, and you can't make the seizing farther up and slide it down the rope. That just doesn't seem to work. Well, this is not working as well as I would like. So I'm gonna try and find something to help me hold this in place. And then while I look for that, I'll turn it off and go find one. I'm back again. I found a reverse tweezers, and I used it to pinch it together here. Now I can continue to wrap this. Now at this point, I use a series of half hitches rather than try a regular wraparound seasoning, because there's nothing to hold that wraparound in place until I want to, while I go around and around and around. So I found that this is much easier to just make a series of half hitches on here. Make sure I'm not getting the tip of the thing in there. After you've done a couple of times, you can probably take it off and finish it off. Yeah, that's done, and you can put a little bit of drop of super glue right there. Now you basically repeat this on this side. And while I would love to be able to put the block on the end here at this point in time, I don't know how far it's going to be between here and the bottom of the block that's on the top mast, or the top platform, I'm sorry. And I can't get the block through, obviously, the bullseye. So it'll just kind of hang off like this, and I'll have to seizing the block on once it's on the yard. All right. Let me get you there. Thus, we'll go on like I said, another one on the other side, and the main yard on the foremast is done the same way. I took a bunch of lines, tan line, and these are going to be the lines that go from a single block like this one that will be tied off right here, right? This will go around the end here like this and seized, and then this piece will go up underneath it. Right now, what I'll do is, I can't put that on right here now, but what I can do, because it'll still go through the eye and everything, it'll fit through the eye and everything, is I can put this on here like this and seize it right there, right? and I don't make sure it's loose enough so that I can move it up and down like this, wherever it needs to go. But that part, I can do, so I will. And try not to have this slide off the end here along the way. I don't have a bunch of these lines, and I make a little doohickey like this and slide my spools on there. And I don't have a bunch of these pre-cut since I don't need a lot of them yet. So my loop. Now here I'll make a bunch of, the seizing will be just a bunch of half hitches, about 4 or 5 of them. So it's like my youngest granddaughter's up. Good thing I'm just about done with this. I'm gonna go out and help my daughter-in-law keep an eye on her. Make a tiny bit of super glue right there. Make sure I don't get it on here. That should do it. That's about as much as I can do on here. All right, that should do it for that. Well, there's one of the main yards done and ready to put on the mast. Bits dropped down, and I'll show you where the double blocks go on the bottom of the tops, and that will probably end this video.